Coming up, a look into the women's volleyball team's recent success.
Plus a review on how all Loyola club sports are doing so far.
I'm Amelia Villhauer.
And I'm Elizabeth Winchester.
All this and so much more.
Rambler Sports Locker begins now. Before we begin, I have to be honest, Amelia. Fall break ended too soon, but as much as I'm sad to be back at classes, I'm happy to be jumping right back into Rambler Sports.
Me too, Elizabeth. Just because we had no classes doesn't mean there were any Loyola games happening over the break.
I heard that too. If my calculations were correct, there was a total of 6 games?
That's right. There were 2 women's golf matches, 2 women's volleyball games, 1 men's soccer, and 1 women's soccer game. Reporter Caroline Lyngen is here with the Rambler Rundown.
Welcome back, Rambler fans. Let's jump right into our women's volleyball team going on a straight heater with a win against St. Louis University and 2 back-to-back wins against George Washington. Catch them tonight as they travel to Virginia to face George Mason. Men's soccer tied with Dayton, bringing their overall record to 6-2-3. Women's soccer faced Davidson and won 1-0, with the star of the game being freshman Maggie Schmidt with her first A10 career goal. Women's golf played in Loyola Parkinson Family Invitational, placing 7th opening day and finishing 9th among the 12 teams. That does it for this week's rundown. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Caroline Lyngen.
Thanks, Caroline. The Loyola women's volleyball team has been on a real winning streak recently, including this past weekend in their 2 games against George Washington. Reporter Natalie King has the highlights.
Thanks, Amelia. As you mentioned, the Ramblers women's volleyball team had a clean sweep over George Washington last weekend at Gentile Arena. This marked their 4th sweep in a row after victories over St. Louis and Davidson. Saturday's win was the first one at home for the Ramblers this season. The team won Saturday's first set with a kill from Emily Bannett to bring the final score to 25-22. The Ramblers won the second set 25-19 and the third 25-17. Saturday's match saw a new season record for the team with 12 service aces. Sunday's first set ended with a score of 25-16 with the winning ace from Olivia Lovett. Set 2 ended in a 25-13 victory, and set 3 ended with the score of 25-23. Sunday's match saw new beginnings for freshman Jordan Bruckner with her collegiate debut and first career dig during the second set. The Ramblers had their best hitting percentages of the season last weekend with .286 on Saturday and .271 on Sunday. Setter Bree Borum was named the A10 Player of the Week after leading the team in aces, blocks, kills, and digs in Sunday's match. The team hopes to continue their winning streak next weekend with 2 matches at George Mason. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Natalie King.
Thanks, Natalie. The volleyball team certainly is riding high. Speaking of wins, the Chicago Bears managed to secure their first win of the 2023 NFL season after walking away from the first 4 games with losses. Bears fans are excited to finally have a win under their belt. Reporter Vanesa Hoxha has a story, plus a look at Loyola's club football team.
The Bears won, a term no one has heard for 346 days until last Thursday. The Bears finally snapped their 14-game losing streak, the longest streak in franchise history. The Bears defeated the Washington Commanders 40-20 on the road. Throwing for 282 yards, quarterback Justin Fields connected with star wide receiver DJ Moore not once, not twice, but 3 times in the end zone that night. Moore had an outstanding night, setting a career-high 230 receiving yards. Speaking of football and breaking records, your Loyola club football team is turning heads this season. After defeating the University of Wisconsin Milwaukee Panthers 44-42 in overtime, senior quarterback Marcos Valgaris walks away with 3 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and breaking the school record for most points by a single player in a single game with 38 points. Valgaris threw to wide receiver Kyle Maddie, who scored 2 touchdowns that night, receiver Anthony Barbarina with 1 touchdown, and connected with Michael Connolly for 1 rushing touchdown. Loyola fans can see the team live in action playing at Evanston Township High School on Saturday, October 28th against Michigan State University, and on Saturday, November 4th, facing the Panthers once again. Kickoff is scheduled for 1 p.m. for both games. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Vanesa Hoxha.
Thanks, Vanessa. The fun doesn't stop there for Loyola Athletics. The Loyola men's soccer team packed up and traveled to Ohio this past weekend to take on Dayton. And a nail-biting turn of events ended the game in a tie. Here to give us the recap is reporter Oliver Allen.
Loyola's men's soccer team came back down 3 goals to salvage a draw against Dayton on their October 7th game. The Ramblers traveled to Bazzone Field in Dayton, and things got off to a less than ideal start on the pitch. Dayton started with scoring with a pair of goals in the 22nd and 29th minutes, setting an early deficit for the Ramblers. Just 10 minutes later, a penalty kick from Dayton's Bassett Umar made it a commanding 3-0 lead for the Flyers. Loyola did not back down, however, as junior forward John Gates found the back of the net with just 2 seconds left on the first half clock. In the 59th minute, team captain Mark Torres sent one from well outside the box into the top shelf of the goal to bring the Ramblers within 1. Julian Cisneros put the finishing touches on the Loyola comeback as the equalizing goal came in the 75th minute, deflecting off the Dayton keeper's hands and into the net. Both teams would tally 5 more shots in the final 15 minutes of the match, with neither team finding any success. The match was one to remember for a pair of first-year Ramblers, as freshman goalkeeper Aiden Crawford tallied a career-high 6 saves, while freshman Ethan Young put up a career-high 5 shots. With the draw, the Ramblers' record moved to 6-2-3, while pushing their record in Atlantic 10 to 2-1-2. Loyola will host cross-state rivals St. Louis University at Loyola Soccer Field on Saturday, October 14th. Kickoff is scheduled for 3 p.m., and the game will be streamed on ESPN+. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Oliver Allen.
Thanks, Oliver. While the men's soccer team must have anticipated a win after making a 3-goal comeback, I'm sure this will give them the motivation to push themselves even harder at their next match.
Speaking of people pushing themselves harder, did you hear about what happened with Sister Jean?
Yes, I did, Amelia. Sister Jean has been inducted into the Chicagoland Sports Hall of Fame class of 2023. The ceremony took place on October 4th at Winchester Arena. Here with the story is reporter Joshua Lee.
Walter Payton, Ted Hendricks, and Sister Jean? What do all these legends have in common? Well, last Wednesday, our very own Sister Jean Dolores Schmidt was inducted into the Chicagoland Sports Hall of Fame. Sister Jean's journey to becoming a beloved Chicago icon began in her early years. Born in San Francisco in 1919, she dedicated her life to service as a member of the Sisters of Charity of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Her vocation took her to Chicago in 1961 when she joined Loyola University as an academic advisor. It was here that her life's mission began to flourish. Sister Jean's connection to the Loyola Ramblers basketball team began in the early 90s. She would regularly attend games, offer her prayers, and provide guidance to the players. However, it was during the 2017-2018 NCAA men's basketball season that Sister Jean's presence gained national attention. As Loyola University Chicago's basketball team made an astonishing run in the NCAA tournament, reaching the Final Four, Sister Jean became the face of the team. Her charming and joyful demeanor made her a national sensation. The Sister Jean effect was real as the Ramblers' miraculous journey captured the hearts of not only Chicagoans, but fans across the country. The choice to induct Sister Jean into the Chicago Hall of Fame is a recognition of her exceptional impact on the city. Beyond her role in the Loyola basketball program, she embodies the values of service, compassion, and community. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Joshua Lee.
Thanks, Joshua. Here at RSL, we've covered our fair share of sports that the Ramblers are a part of, from basketball to volleyball to golf. But did you know that Loyola has a women's club rugby team? Well, I got the chance to go cover their game last Saturday. Here's the footage now. I'm here at Hoyne Field, where Loyola Women's Club Rugby just played their first home match of the season versus UIC. They came out on top with a score of 38-20, and here are your highlights. The Loyola women's rugby team came in with determination for their game against the UIC Flames last Saturday. The Ramblers started off hot when sophomore hooker Grace Kalb scored their first try only 5 minutes into the game, and junior fullback Emma Pierce completed their first successful conversion goal. From there, the competition started to fire up when UIC came in hot to fight for and accomplish their first try of the game, but didn't manage to tie up the score due to an incomplete conversion goal. The next play started with UIC possession until senior wing Molly Maloney stripped the ball and gave Loyola possession. With that change, it lit a fire underneath the Ramblers, and Kalb managed to swoop in again and score another try only 10 minutes after her first one. Going into the next play, there was a brief pause of the game due to an injury, and after all players were confirmed to be okay, they dove back into it swinging when sophomore 8-man Sandra Egbutu ran the ball down the majority of the field and assisted Pierce in scoring Loyola's third try of the game and completing a conversion goal. The Ramblers were not stopping there and continued to prove the strength of their team both on and off the field.
Our team is good because our team is huge, and the fact that our sideline is big, like that's what makes us good, because we have so many people who like show up and care to be here and care to support each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would be really hard to win any game without the huge sideline that we have going on here.
With multiple successful passes among teammates, it led to junior flanker Clara Tebb scoring yet another try for the Ramblers. At the beginning of the next play, the Ramblers had a knock-on, which is when a player loses possession due to the ball going forward, which led to a scrum, otherwise known as a way to restart the play and decide who will gain possession. UIC did manage to snatch this away from Loyola until the Ramblers stripped the ball from them for the second time in this half, this time by Egbutu. Cobb swooped in and scored her third try and the Ramblers' fifth, complete with a conversion goal thanks to Pierce. Graduate lock Kelly Marth brought excitement for nearing the end of the first half by running the ball down and almost getting another try. After lots of fight was put up by the Ramblers, junior prop Sasha Dorsey snagged their sixth try of the game with another conversion goal made by Pierce. At half, the Ramblers were up 38-5. For the second half, UIC came in more determined than ever and scored 3 tries, with Loyola scoring 0. Despite their efforts, Loyola did come out victorious with a score of 38-20, beating UIC for the first time in 14 years.
We're feeling really proud of the team. It was our first home game, first home win, so that's always very exciting. It's a great day. We're happy to be here.
Yeah, I mean, the team showed up and played great, really implemented everything we've been doing at practice, so it was really exciting.
The Loyola Women's Club Rugby will be back to play UChicago this Saturday, October 14th, here at Hoyne Field. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Amelia Villhauer.
Thanks, Amelia, for that footage. I wasn't aware that we had a women's club rugby team, but now that I do, I'm sure to keep an eye on them. It's sure to be a conversation we're sticking around for. That's right, it's time for the Ramble with William Bazzone. This week he is joined by 2 RSL reporters, Joshua Lee and Shreeya Pattekar. They will be discussing who they think won the Dame trade. William, take it away.
Thanks, Amelia and Elizabeth, and welcome back to The Ramble. You guys already know who I am. I'm William Bazzone, and joining me this week on The Ramble is Joshua Lee, the traveling man, and a rookie, Shreeya Pattekar. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We've got a big trade to talk about. Damian Lillard, the 10-year veteran for the Portland Trailblazers, just got traded to the Milwaukee Bucks 2 weeks ago. It was a 3-team trade between Portland, Milwaukee, and Phoenix. Boston also got in on it later, but this is an earth-shattering trade, guys. I mean, so many different moving parts. Portland got a lot of pieces back. Who is really the winner and the loser, or maybe there's both, of the trade? And we'll start with Shreeya. Who do you think won the trade?
I think there's a clear winner to this trade, and it's the Milwaukee Bucks. And they not only got one player, they actually got 2, because they were actually on the verge of losing Giannis because he's been wanting to leave the Milwaukee Bucks. He doesn't think it's going to give him enough chance at a championship.
Sure.
So he's been dropping hints over the summer about wanting to leave, maybe another team that might give him a better chance at winning. And he's also mentioned that his ideal partner would be Damian Lillard.
Interesting. Well, see, This is my thing, because Giannis has already won a ring. Dame has not. So Dame, it looks like, at least in my opinion, he's going to Milwaukee and they're going all in, essentially, because they did trade a lot of pieces, right? They got rid of Grayson Allen, Tumani Kamara, who a lot of Loyola fans will know is a standout at Dayton. They did trade a few pieces, and they also traded Drew Holiday, who also now is in Boston. But I don't know. I think it's more or less playing to Dame's strengths and Giannis' strengths, but I think it's a point well taken. Josh, who do you think's the winner here?
Honestly, it might be a little hot take here, but I think I'm going to build off of your point about the Bucks, going all in. I think they really gave up too much depth. And I know everyone's going to say, Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, dynamic duo, next Kobe Shaq kind of feeling.
Oh, boy.
I mean, I've heard a lot of that, but I think, honestly, just giving up so much depth, and who is it? Drew Holiday wanted to stay in Milwaukee, so it just feels like more of like a reach, just trying to do anything they could to, just please Giannis at this point.
Sure.
But for me, I think honestly the Suns, I feel like they made the most out of their situation.
Interesting.
Because they got Ayton away when he really didn't want to be there.
Sure.
He wasn't going to play probably anyways. And they got Nurkic and I think, who else did they get? I think.
So, if my memory serves here, they got Nurkic, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson from Portland. So a couple of bench players to fill out the rest of their roster because, I mean, look at their starting five.
I know.
I mean, they're just so top heavy. They didn't have a lot of depth, not a lot of cap space to sign players. You got a lot of young players who are ready to step up, but nobody's talked about Portland yet. Like, a ton of draft picks over the next few years. They got DeAndre Ayton to come and secure the front court. Nobody's going to say Portland on this one. If we can't agree on that, who was the loser of this trade, Shreeya? Who do you think it was?
Honestly, this might be a hot take, but I think the Portland Trail Blazers was the loser of this situation. Just because Damian Lillard is such a good player, and now that him and Giannis are going to be teamed up together, I feel like it's going to be an obvious win for the next season.
But what about some of their younger players, though, right? You've got Anthony Simmons, Shaedon Sharpe, Scoot Henderson, the new rookie this year. You don't think they're going to have a lot more going for the future?
I mean, I'm just saying if Giannis was good enough to have literally convinced his team, the Milwaukee Bucks, to get Damian, then I feel like he's definitely a star, and they definitely see something special in him. So, I mean, they're really putting all their hopes on him. So, I think, honestly, yeah, the Trailblazers lost.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Josh, any final thoughts? Who was the loser here?
I think for me, I mean, they're not including the trade, and that's not why I think they're the losers. I think Miami Heat definitely were the losers in this.
Don't you mean the Boston Celtics?
I think the Miami Heat. Why do you say the Celtics?
Well, I'm not saying the Celtics. The Heat, they did lose out on Dame. I know they wanted Dame, but in terms of the teams involved in this trade, who lost?
I would say out of the three, I would say the Bucks because they lost Drew Holiday and then they brought in Damian Lillard.
Sure.
I mean, but I think they lost so much depth already, and I feel like Dame's only going to be good for another 2-3 years, I would say. And he's also on 2-3 year contract.
Sure.
So they only have a little short window now, and so I think honestly, all of the teams in my point, all of them won the trade.
Sure.
But I think the Bucks won the least amount.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I think it makes sense. But anyways, folks, that was a lot to unpack, a lot of stuff going on. If you've got an opinion on this, make sure you give us a follow on our social media pages. Give us your thoughts. But next week, this is going to be the biggest ramble maybe ever. Swifties, tune in. We're talking about if Taylor Swift's impact has been good or bad on the NFL. That's all we've got. We'll see you next week, and we'll turn it back to the anchors to finish up the show.
Thanks, everyone. Make sure to go check out Loyola RSL on Instagram and X, where you can send in your opinions and join the debate. Now, Elizabeth, I hear today's an important day in sports history.
That's right. In honor of Sister Jean's induction into the Chicago Hall of Fame, I would like to take this edition of This Day in Sports History to honor the birthday of one athlete that has earned a spot in the Baseball Hall of Fame. In 1876, pitcher Rube Waddell was born in Bradford, Pennsylvania. A natural left-hander, Waddell played for 13 years with the Louisville Cardinals, Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Chicago Orphans in the National League, as well as the Philadelphia Athletics and the St. Louis Browns in the American League. Short but sweet, that is the end of this edition of This Day in Sports History. Tune in next time for more sports history facts.
Thanks, Elizabeth. That wraps up this episode of Rambler Sports Locker.
To stay up to date in all things Rambler Sports, be sure to follow us on X, TikTok, and Instagram at Loyola RSL and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
From all of us here at Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Amelia Villhauer.
And I'm Elizabeth Winchester.
We'll see you next week, and don't forget to turn off the lights.